Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after a long off-season break. The AFC South Roundtable is here for season number 2. And let's go on ahead and start welcoming in our guests, as I'm sure you are familiar. Smash that like button, sound off in the chat, let us know what team you are representing. As we bring in the basement dwellers from last year, the Tennessee Titans representative, Titans Rossi. How you doing, man? Talk to me.
Hey, man, I'm feeling a lot better this year. I don't think we're going to be the basement dwellers. I feel like I'm going to have a little bit of trash to talk this year.
Good.
And I'm excited, dude. Let's go. I'm pumped to get the show back going. Let's do it.
All right, man. It is beautiful. Rolling over to the third place finishers of 2023. And what several are saying are going to be finishing in the basement this year, the Indianapolis Colts. My boy Derek, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. Hey, listen, don't let none of y'all get fooled by Rossi right now. He still knows he's the basement dweller. He knows he's going to be down there at the bottom still. The Indianapolis Colts coming for the division this year. I know I said it last time, but I'm going to say it. It's right there for us for the taking. Super hyped to be back here on the AFC South Roundtable. Hope y'all are doing well. Let's get into this.
Let's do it. And let's talk about a season that everyone just puts together as a what if. The Jacksonville Jaguars, second place finishers last year. Solid jacket, by the way, Dol.
Yo, what's going on with it? Duval. Yo, I'll let the Titans guy and the Colts guy go argue with each other. Because right now I'm looking above me at the Texans. Man, they stole it from us last year. The Jaguars just finished terribly with all different stuff going on, but it's a new year. It's new opportunity, and we're coming for that number 1 spot this year.
We are coming for it. And last but not least, we had the Cinderella story last year. Nobody expected this, but now they're coming back with a vengeance. I couldn't think of a better representative than our good friend.
What's going on, everyone? I've missed y'all all so much. The Houston Texans, they're ready to do it again. But it's not just the AFC South, Dan. It's the Super Bowl. I don't care about the basement dwellers. I don't care about the Colts. I don't care about the Titans. Hell, I really don't even care about the Jaguars. The only reason why we're talking about them is because Dalton has that great jacket on. But ladies and gentlemen, you know why you're here. It's because the Houston Texans are number 1. They had a great offseason. They got new threads. Let's freaking go.
Look at that, man. And as you can see, I did have to reorganize the entire panel real fast based off of how they finished in 2023. Folks, cannot stress it enough. Please smash that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on those bell notifications. And more importantly, sound off in the chat. Let us know what team you are currently representing as we dive into some of these very juicy topics that we have. But before we do that, I need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and that just so happens to be BetUS. Folks, BetUS is the number 1 sports book on the face of the planet when it comes into practically anything you could imagine. Money lines, that's over-unders, that's standard spreads, even down to player props. BetUS is the place to go. Get this, they are matching 125% of your first 3 deposits. 125% of that up to $2,000, my friends. That is absolute free money. And for all of you AFC South fans over here, a lot of you are wanting to put your money where your mouth is, because look at some of these teams being disrespected. We have the Houston Texans as the unanimous odds winners of the AFC South. Jacksonville Jaguars at plus 270. The Indianapolis Colts at plus 325. And the Tennessee Titans sitting at plus 950. So if this upsets you by any stretch of the imagination, folks, go add some cash right into it. Shout out BetUS for being a proud sponsor of this channel. And man, we are absolutely thrilled to get this going. Season 2 is officially upon us. Now, folks, we have a couple of narratives that I think are attached to each and every single one of your teams. And I want to give the first representative their space of discussing it. And then I want to give every other panelist their opportunity of giving their take, giving their thoughts on the overall situation. I want to start off with the Houston Texans. Ruben, there is a lot of hype surrounding the Houston Texans this year, obviously with all of these acquisitions, drafted relatively well. But you know what is still out in the ether? Everyone's saying that the Houston Texans are going to be subject to a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud. They are not going to live up to expectations. The Jacksonville Jaguars' only reason they fumbled was because Trevor Lawrence was playing on 5 different injuries. Why do you think CJ Stroud is not going to go through a sophomore slump? Talk to me.
Look, man, the ops are hoping for a sophomore slump because if it doesn't happen, we might be looking at one of the next great quarterbacks. Look, I've already heard it, right? I've heard him be compared to Dak Prescott. And when you look at the season of CJ Stroud, I remember people were saying he got into the worst situation possible. He played a season where his offensive line did not start one game together. He lost Tank Dell halfway through the season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. There was no Noah Brown. There was no Robert Woods at the end. It was only CJ. There was no running game either. Dameon Pierce entered the season as your starter. You found out as early as week 4 he was not the guy. Then Devin Singletary took the load for you and led the rest of the way. You didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher. CJ Stroud was the reason why the Houston Texans offense was the way it was. They were 14th in passing, I think in the 20s in running the ball. So what did they do this offseason, right? For this sophomore slump, they prepared. They brought back offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, who was getting interviews for head coach. They brought back Gerard Johnson, the quarterback coach, who's been with CJ all the way back since high school. You then you bring back your tight end Dalton Schultz on a 3-year deal. Then you do something that no team in NFL history has done, and that is sign a 1,000-yard rusher, a 1,000-yard receiver, and a player with double-digit sacks. It was Joe Mixon, it was Stephon Diggs, and it was 2 players because it was Danielle Hunter and Danico Autry as well. The Houston Texans, they did everything in their power to get ready or prepare for a sophomore slump, but really, they did everything they can, man, to get their young quarterback some weapons. They brought back his coaches so he can continue to grow into this league. I don't see a sophomore slump. This Houston Texans, man, I'm excited. It's up here in the H.
Very interesting. Now, I do want to move over to Dalton real fast. Thoughts on the potential of CJ Stroud and a sophomore slump? Is the hype still there, or do you see him taking a step back into reality?
Look, man, there is a lot of hype around the Texans for this upcoming season, and rightly so. I mean, last year CJ Stroud had an amazing season. Last year, the Texans really realized that they have a lot more talent than initially thought. And I know, like, the story last year, whenever Ruben would come on this channel, he would say, "Man, no one expected anything out of us. Everyone rated us as one of the worst teams in football," and they were using that to kind of propel them and kind of as motivation to keep moving forward. But now everybody's looking at them, and nobody is underestimating the Houston Texans right now. I think on BetUS, they're like top 5 in Super Bowl odds or something like that. And obviously they're leading the AFC South. All eyes right now are on the Houston Texans. And if there's one thing that, a team like the Chiefs might have proved is that not only can they win, but they can win consistently year after year. Right now, we haven't seen the Texans do that. We haven't seen, D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud and the whole entire crew be able to, put together back-to-back winning seasons. And obviously they haven't had the opportunity to because both of them are in their sophomore seasons. But, now all eyes are on them. How are they going to respond? I know CJ Stroud went through quite the rounds this offseason. He was doing a lot of talking. Okay. I know some people were making some mental notes there. So now the NFL is on notice. Now we're going to see, because I know when the Jaguars played them the first time, they were nothing. They just lost 2 really bad games. Then they kind of had their coming out party in Jacksonville. And they, of course, stumbled here and there, but never really looked back, wound up going 10-7. But, there is absolutely the possibility of a sophomore slump from the team just because we haven't seen them win consistently yet.
That's what you got on that, Derek.
Yeah, of course, when it comes to the Houston Texans right now, by far the favorite to win the AFC South. And for obvious reason, they brought in so much unique talent this offseason. When you can bring in, high-level players at so many key positions, and especially one that a lot of people are not really talking about as much, is with Hunter coming in at defensive end. Now, clearly he is headed more towards the back end of his career. He's not going to be playing in the NFL for a whole heck of a lot longer. I don't think, but at least not at a high level. But as far as that goes, no doubt they've made some significant upgrades to it. But I do also pose the question of, is it becoming too much of a rich situation for the Houston Texans? There is sometimes a thing as too much talent in some particular areas. We talk about they have now 4 wide receivers that you could argue as wide receiver ones on their team. And, at a certain point, I got to wonder, does that become an issue in some way, shape, or form? Does one guy get mad at the others for taking snaps away or for getting production taken away? Or does it become a power struggle sometimes for CJ Stroud? Because we've seen teams that have had a lot of offensive firepower, but they've had a great system to be able to flow through it. I don't know if the offensive system and game plan is what's driving that train right now. Like Dalton said, CJ Stroud was the one that really made up for all of this. He was clearly the best quarterback in the NFL last year that was drafted from the 2022 draft class, 2023, I should say. And of course, when we look at it and say, that they improved so much because of his play, and a lot of teams did not expect it, as Dalton said earlier. I do wonder now, everyone has that little circle around the Houston Texans logo on their schedule now. Like, this is the big one. Like, this is not anything to be taken lightly. So, they're not a surprise team anymore. They went from being the surprise to all of a sudden being the forefront. So everyone's going to bring their best efforts. So I don't know. Maybe they do have a little bit of a slump as compared to them having no expectations last year.
And last but not least, Titans Rossi, thoughts on the potential of the CJ Stroud slump in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, for once, I agree with some of what Derek said, but no, yeah, I mean, it's always a potential, and you never know. I mean, injuries come into play all the time, and all that type of stuff. I mean, your team is always one injury away. Any team in the league,
You're telling me.
from tanking. And I'm not saying, I don't hope anybody gets injured, and I hope Stroud's healthy and does well and all that. But there is always that possibility of a slump. It's happened over and over again in the league. I mean, we could go back and probably list some quarterbacks that have had rookie phenom seasons and that just kind of didn't pan out from there. But yes, I mean, the league is on notice. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be as like high flying and all this as it was. I think the Texans, and they won some close games last year, like they did, but I think it's going to be a little tougher. And I think that, I don't know. I think they're still going to win a lot of ball games. I don't think he's going to go into like a insane, like crazy type of slump, but I think it's going to be a little tougher sledding than Texans fans might think. I don't know. In the beginning, possibly.
Oh man, so many expectations there, Ruben. So many expectations for your squad.
No, I mean, like, there's a lot, and we've been expecting this, right? Last year was fun because we all thought we were going to be ass. Now, when you have an offseason like you do, when you win the AFC South, when you walk in to the Stroud house in Indy and come out with the victory, you have the expectations now where, yes, we think we're going to be one of the best in the NFL. To me, it's AFC championship or bust. It's Super Bowl or bust, right? A division, a wild card win, a division appearance does not do it enough for me. And it's the same vibe here in Houston. DeMeco Ryans said it right before training camp. He told the rookies, we're not going to wait on you. And I think that is the theme so far for the Houston Texans, man. And the expectations, they're there. Yeah, these guys are absolutely right. The expectations are there. But if we're talking about a CJ Stroud, what about Will Levis? What about Anthony Richardson, right? So, you see how they're going to move that goalpost. So, we'll get to that in a second. But expectations are there. I'm not running away from them. Let's go. Week 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please do us a favor, smash that like button. Where I see right now, We only have 24 like buttons smashed. I think that we could very easily get up to 50 within the next 2 minutes. It's the easiest way to support what we're doing over here, guys. We are live every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. EST. Mark your calendars because we are going to be entertaining you all season long. Second narrative, and I'm going over to Dalton with this one on the Jacksonville Jaguars, all right? When the contract for Trevor Lawrence ended up getting leaked, I have not seen more trolling on any contract than I think I have ever seen in my entire life. Mostly from your panelists here and then also some of their fan bases. Many have that notion that they think that Trevor Lawrence hasn't lived up to expectations as the first overall pick. Many call him overrated. Many say this, many say that. Take a moment and convince us all that this is going to be his year to shut up everybody and why you feel confident about your Jacksonville Jaguars being led by the boy wonder.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL, I mean, it really is a big situation of like, what have you done for me lately? And honestly, the worst thing Trevor Lawrence could have done for his perception is play through the injuries like he did. I mean, if we remember in the 16 regular season games prior to him hurting his ankle, he was like 13-3. I mean, he was on an absolute tear. And then once the injuries did happen and he wasn't able to perform the way he did, there was no other thing that could bail him out. You know, the Jaguars had no run game. The offensive line was so bad, was really bad, and it was so bad they kept allowing him to get hit. So there was nothing to go to. They kept trying this quick pass game. You know, this wide receiver screen game wasn't working. They weren't trying to push it to the middle of the field. Just a lot of bad stuff was happening for the Jaguars. But, you know, like I was saying, I mean, Trevor Lawrence has proven that he can be an elite quarterback in this NFL. And of course, he's only had 3 years in the league so far. I mean, his first year, he had Urban Meyer, and then his second year, he, you know, led the Jaguars to the playoffs. And, you know, last year, he had the Jaguars at 8-3 before, you know, obviously the injuries happened. And it sucks that, you know, we had this whole injury excuse. That's why I'm so ready for the season to get started so people can be reminded of how good Trevor Lawrence actually is. So, yeah, and also when you break down the contract, I mean, a lot of people look at, you know, the big base salary numbers and the guaranteed money, but when you really break things down, it's a really good contract because there are a lot of different performance measurements in there. And like when you break it down, I forget what the acronym for it was, but you know, he's not even really value based like in a top 10 like contracts out there when it comes to quarterbacks getting paid. So it was a good contract. Like, you know, it's hard to get a much better quarterback than a Trevor Lawrence. You know, he's still young. He's only had 3 years in the NFL. A lot of people feel like he's this, you know, big, long NFL veteran, only had 3 years under his belt. So, you know, I'm ready for September to get here to kind of remind the NFL, yeah, I'm Trevor Lawrence and I'm him.
Interesting. And so I saw quite a few smirks on the panel as we were going through right here. Ruben, what do you think about that statement?
Look, I mean, he's right. And the one thing I love about this Trevor Lawrence contract, and, you know, now it's all on him. Show us that you really are that guy. And I think, you know, there probably was a conversation where, hey, like right now you're kind of forgot about in a sense. You got CJ Stroud, you got Will Levis, you got Anthony Richardson coming up, all these young, great quarterbacks. And we forget that, hey, there was a #1 overall pick just a couple of years ago in Trevor Lawrence. And now he gets the money. How can he handle the pressure of now being one of the highest paid quarterbacks and now being in a division where there's a lot of young cats trying to take over? It's going to be very interesting. If anything, man, it's, you know, it kind of gives us Houston Texans fans an idea of what the contract for CJ Stroud is going to look like in just a couple of years. But with this deal, I like that the Jaguars did it because they get their guy. If they think Trevor Lawrence is the dude, like, is it a lot of money? Absolutely. Is it an overpay? Absolutely, right? However, like Dotson said, maybe Trevor Lawrence playing, you know, through those injuries did him a disservice. And, you know, in my opinion, right, we went from talking about him as a great quarterback to, you know, just laughing that he just continued to put himself out there and continue to lose. That being said, good deal for them. Excited to see how it plays out. A lot of pressure on Sunshine. It's going to be fun.
And so what do you think, Derek? I saw you in the live chat there for a second. What you got?
I just want to remind everyone that this contract not only ties him with Joe Burrow, but that now makes him tied for the highest paid quarterback in the
It
entire
doesn't,
NFL.
it doesn't though. That's if he hits every measurable, he gets that money. And obviously you divide it by the number of years, but it's not like he's all of a sudden the highest paid quarterback. You're just taking that number and dividing it by 5 and saying that's how much he's getting.
It's one of those situations where, look, it's how the quarterback market is in today's NFL. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are or if you are the best or whatever. If you have enough talent to pass warranting a contract, somebody else is going to pay you the money that team isn't going to, right? So at some point, you just have to be like, well, we might as well just go ahead and get it done and over with, because, at some point here in whenever Trevor Lawrence's next contract is going to come up, you're going to start arguing whether or not you're going to pay the guy $400 million over the next 4 years. That's the rate at which the NFL quarterback market is pretty much going at this point. At least that's what it feels like. Look, I thought it was a little bit of an overpay. I mean, of course, I made the jokes all last year, like when Gardner Minshew's first 50 games versus Trevor Lawrence's first 50 games in the NFL. I mean, it was practically identical. Hey, listen, I'll hit UCF before he beats me to it. He'll say, oh, but Gardner Minshew was a Pro Bowler last year. Leave me alone with that comment. Okay, I'm tired of it. This is a new season. We can stop lying to ourselves. Gardner Minshew was never great. Lawrence was certainly not an elite quarterback, as you wanted to mention, UCF. That's why I chuckled earlier to hear the word elite and Trevor Lawrence in the same sentence. Has never once crossed my mind.
Are you kidding? He's shown that he can be elite.
Now we're getting disrespectful. I like it.
And
Trevor Lawrence has shown that he can literally be an elite quarterback.
Can he be really good? Yes. The only time he's ever elite is against the Colts. Okay, and that's just because the Colts defense is trash. Okay, so that's the only time you'll get me there. Well,
that's the only time you ever watch a full Trevor Lawrence game is when he takes you guys down.
Takes us down because our defense is terrible.
No, because he exposes y'all's defense. You guys were like 9-8 last year.
We have a cover 3 defense and Gus Bradley who refuses to blitz. Thanks. I'll remember that the next 3,000 times it gets brought up this year. Anyways, yes, he deserved a new contract. He's been consistent, and they really had no other option. So, they kind of have to do what they have to do.
What you got, Titans, Rossi?
Yeah, I mean, I think he deserved a new contract. And you look across the league, there's a lot of these guys out there getting huge contracts, even quarterbacks that you're kind of iffy where you're like, really? They paid him that much? But, I mean, you can't put a premium on a pretty good starting quarterback in the NFL. Like, would I say Trevor Lawrence is elite? I don't know if I'd go there quite yet. I think he has the capability of being elite. I would say the way CJ Stroud played last year was elite. Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, they still got some work to do. They still got to prove it. You know what I mean? But Trevor Lawrence, if you look at not this last season, but the one before, he had a heck of a season. You know what I mean? And he was hurt. They did have a lot of drops. I mean, they were like top 10, 12 in drops. On the same token, the Colts were like top 5 in drops. So, but no, I think it's the contract is probably right, considering if you look across the league, what these guys are getting paid now. I mean, even quarterbacks that are like 12, 11, 10th ranked, you know what I mean? It's crazy what they're paying all these guys.
And folks, this is definitely an interesting topic when it comes into it. And right before we dive into our Colts topic, because I know that our good friend Dalton is going to want some revenge on what I have cooked up after Derek goes on. But I do need to give a giant shout out to everybody, folks. Everyone at Roundtable Sports, we recently just released our campaign merchandising line for each and every single team in the AFC South. For example, we have the Make the Colts Great Again merchandise right over here. A nice little hat that you can take a look at. We have a rendition for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Make the Jaguars Great Again. We have that hat all in the store. And then say for any specific ticket, we have the Stroud Collins 2024 hoodie,
I like that
hat. We have nice little sweaters. We have Richardson Steichen 2024. We have all of these designs one for each and every single team. Lawrence Thomas Jr. And then how about this one?
Blue one.
Levis Hopkins, 2024. Ladies and
That
gentlemen,
one looks tough.
that
That one looks tough. I'm not going to cap. That one looks tough.
That
like
does
that.
look good.
Yeah, it
The
looks
full campaign collection is all right here, folks. In case you want to double check, we have that link in the description. Upgrade your gear going into this full football season. And I'll tell you what, we have a super chat in. Listen, guys, the best way to support this channel is quite simply just by smashing the like button.
You're welcome.
This is also a great way of being able to be heard in the live chat and ask the host any specific questions. Seeing a Titans fan talk sense on T-Law, is this in the book of Revelations? Well, look at that.
Dude,
Titans
Rossi
Rossi,
is
man.
built differently, okay?
You're welcome, Garth.
He is built differently. And yeah, I love it. Garth, thank you so much for your generosity. Like we said, guys, best way to support is simply just by smashing that like button. All right, now it comes down to the Indianapolis Colts and this narrative that has been circulating around them. All right, Derek, I'm not sure about you, and maybe it's just the content that I'm seeing from around the AFC South, but everybody and their mother has the Indianapolis Colts finishing in the basement of the AFC South this year. I'm seeing quite a lot of disrespect. Seems like a lot of people are thinking that Anthony Richardson is still completing his rookie season in and of itself. Maybe it had to do with the slow free agency. Not sure. But take the floor. Why should we not sleep on the Indianapolis Colts for being genuine competitors and contenders for this division? Talk to us.
I mean, why shouldn't you? Because they were literally a incomplete pass away from making the playoffs last year and winning the division. I know this guy's up here pretending to sleep like as if that don't matter. He knows that he got lucky last year. He won't admit it out loud, but I know right now he's thinking, damn, he's right. I'm really glad that the Colts dropped their playoff hopes alive. Man, we were so close last year, and we didn't have our starting quarterback. Our best running back was hurt and unable to play at the end of the game and for half the year. Our entire secondary was decimated last year, and you had a first-year head coach just like Ruben had to deal with last year, and both of our coaches showed in their first year as head coach they had what it took. They were able to grasp their guys, and they were able to get the best out of them. The Colts were maybe one of the most injury-ridden teams in all of the 2023 season, and yet we were this close still to being able to make it that close. And now all of a sudden I'm hearing people say that like, oh, the Titans are going to pass them this year. Oh, congrats. You bought half your team, or at least your defensive perspective. That's fine. I'll be once again when you win 7 games this year at most. But either way, this team this year, when Anthony Richardson actually goes out there and actually plays a majority of a season, and I know everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, is that true? Yeah, sure. Okay. But you're going to have a head coach that has a whole new year going into it. You're going to have a quarterback now back that is going to force every defense to have to commit to the run game even more than already they had to with Jonathan Taylor. And if the Colts just don't get hit with the injury bug like they did last year, this is a team that can easily compete with anyone else in this division for the playoffs. We did it last year without a good chunk of our best players and everybody being a whole year younger. We can absolutely do it again in 2024.
It's all right, Dalton. It's time for your revenge. Should people be sleeping on the Indianapolis Colts? Do they have a shot at taking the division this year?
Look, man, first of all, I have a lot of Houston fans coming at me all the time, okay? and in this offseason, I had a lot of Colts fans coming at me because when the Roundtable was like, submit us your records to the AFC South, I had the Colts at number 4 going 7-10 in the AFC South. And here's my issue with the Colts, okay? And here's my issue with Chris Ballard. While the Texans were out there making money moves in free agency, going out and getting Donnell Hunter, Joe Mixon, even the Titans were getting in the mix, signing some players, and the Jaguars obviously were too. The Colts were sitting there kind of sitting on their hands like, oh my gosh, can we get this Ladarius Sneed trade going? And then boom, the Titans trade for him instead. I don't think they got enough veterans in this offseason that's really going to propel them past, really where the Jaguars or Texans are this offseason. It's a shame because I do like the nucleus of their team. They do have some good players out there. And, Anthony Richardson, probably has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this division when it comes to just his measurables and what he can do running the football and throwing the football. I mean, the guy really is a specimen, but I just felt like Chris Ballard loves too much about his own homegrown players, and I feel like he never wants to get outbidded, and I feel like he's like has this mentality of, oh, like it's an honor to play with the Colts, and if you don't want to play for us, then have fun somewhere else. Look, in the NFL, players are going to chase money. They really don't care all that much about, where they end up unless they're like 35 years old and just want to get a ring. So, I had some nice draft picks. I mean, Latu was a, really good value. A.D. Mitchell was also good value, but I just feel like when you see teams in the really in March trying to really sign players, make them better, I just felt like Chris Ballard didn't have that killer instinct to really, get the Colts over the top and really get him over that hump. So I just didn't see a lot of improvement in the roster.
I will agree with you real quick before we let everybody else talk. I will agree with you. His ego is by far and away the biggest problem with how the roster gets constructed, is that Ballard just doesn't like to overbid. I pray one day he'll let it go. One day he'll just let it go and be like, just one time, just let it go one time and just overbid for somebody. I don't care who.
Well, Titans Rossi. So I'll tell you what, man, listen, I'm sure that you're hoping that you can trade places with the Indianapolis Colts this year as far as the ultimate division ending once it does hit into January. Should the rest of the NFL be sleeping on the Indianapolis Colts based off of the level of competition surrounding your division as well?
I mean, look, the Colts played tough last season, given the injuries like they did. I mean, they were, I said it during this show a few times, how, they were scrappy considering what had happened to their team. I mean, their team was decimated. I've been there with the Titans. I mean, luckily last season, we just sucked. We didn't have like an insane amount of injuries like in the past, which was a positive. We just sucked. You know what I mean? It was Will Levis kind of halfway through the season starting, that type of thing. And then this year you got, your whole new coaching staff, all new players. We have the most turnover out of any team in the NFL since 2020. It's insane. The amount of turnover that the Titans have on their roster. But I mean, with that being said, I mean, as far as the Colts go, like I don't see them being like a 9 or 10 win team. I see them being on the level as the Titans. I see Anthony Richardson and Will Levis being on kind of the same level of like growing as quarterbacks. Like, I don't think Will Levis and Anthony Richardson are both going to insanely blow out the NFL this year, but I think they're both going to improve. And I think that the Titans and the Colts are kind of going to be battling for that spot. Now, I think 8 to 9 wins is not unreasonable for both teams.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. Right before we hear from Ruben, because he was sleeping at the beginning of this segment when Derek started going off, a giant shout out right to the Garf as well for his second super chat coming on in. Thank you so much, man. Last super chat, because I feel passionate about this. Colts have zero reasons to be as confident as they are. Houston and the Jaguars are a weighted coin flip in Houston's favor, but then the Colts are in that 9 to 8 window. Oh, Derek. Thoughts, man. Thank you.
Your face is turning red.
That's what he said.
Weighted coin flip my ass for the
Garf.
Jags. The Texans, yes. The Jags, what are we doing here?
Oh, man. All right.
Hey, you want to come to Jacksonville and handle this, Derek?
All right.
Yeah, we'll handle it. We'll definitely handle it.
Hey, listen, 104 people on YouTube right now and 26 of you on X. Out of the 140 guys, make sure you smash that like button for us. Easiest way to support the channel. And if you want to ask a question to the host or say something that you don't want us to miss, Super Chat is the next best way. Ruben, talk to us. Why should people be sleeping on the Colts, or why shouldn't they be?
Bro, to me, Colts fans have become conspiracy theorists, right? According to them, they're gonna go to the AFC Championship. Anthony Richardson is gonna have an MVP season. What the hell are we talking about here? Because of these 8 quarters, all the way back in week 1 and 2, you're so hyped about AR. That is absolutely crazy. Your general manager is holding you back, Derek. Your words just 5 minutes ago, where I hope one day he could outbid for someone. You offered Danielle Hunter more money, and he chose to come to the H, not only because this is his hometown, because he knows that the Houston Texans are onto something, and the Indianapolis Colts are not shit. And you're going to see that when we get Justin Simmons in a couple of days, because no one cares about the Indianapolis Colts, man. Like, I'm sick of it, and I can't wait to get on the Tennessee Titans. But Andy, like the super chat said, you have zero reason to be this passionate whatsoever. I cannot wait for you to tell us, man, I miss Gardner Minshew, because that is going to happen.
I can't wait for week 1. Can it be week 1 yet?
It, bro, because your linebackers are,
when
your linebackers
comes
are
into my
crying,
building
saying,
and
oh,
loses,
he's talking trash about it, when in reality, nothing he said was a lie. He tore y'all up, went to your house. Ooh,
quarterback's doing a lot of talking, man.
Derek, who's your backup quarterback right now?
Talking.
Derek, who's the backup quarterback for the Colts right now? Joe Flacco?
Yeah, Joe Flacco.
You guys are going to need to get somebody better. Is there anybody on the street that you guys can maybe pick up?
Dude, I mean,
you guys need somebody for week 2.
Ryan Tannehill's
okay.
Ryan Tannehill could play for you guys as soon as week 2, man.
Why would the Colts be excited to lose their first home game? I don't know, Brandon. I don't know.
Oh, folks, man. This is the type of energy that you should expect for the rest of the season right here, folks. Trust me, we try to put these shows together to make sure that we pin the hosts against each other for the full hour that we stream. So make sure you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you never miss an episode. Last but not least, the Tennessee Titans. And you know what? I'm not going to lie to you, Titans Rossi. I was upset watching your demeanor get more and more depressed as the Tennessee Titans season came to a conclusion last year. However, they have been making some moves, all right? Have a brand new head coach in Brian Callahan, have been making a lot of great moves on the defensive side of the ball. Some wide receiver moves. As long as Will Levis takes a step in the right direction, some would say that they should, or Titans fans specifically, should exceed expectations. So my question to you is this enough for you to say that the Titans genuinely have a shot at the playoffs this year in 2024, based off of all of these moves, new coaching staff go off?
I think if everything goes perfectly, you know what I mean? Like, Will Levis has a great season. The offensive line plays great. There's not many substantial injuries that keep guys, major key players out for, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, something like that. I think, if everything goes perfect according to plan, I think the ceiling is like 10 wins. You know what I mean? 10 to 11 wins max. That's what I'm expecting. Not what I'm expecting. That's what I would be expecting. But what I'm really expecting out of the Titans is probably like 8 to 9 wins. That's what I'm expecting. And with 6 wins last season and the way that things went down like that, I would be fine with that. Like, hey, if we're scraping and clawing towards the end and we're kind of hanging in there, if you look at the Titans schedule, the main reason I say that, the Titans schedule is brutal. Like, it is really brutal. The way that the games are set up, the away game, it's kind of insane how they set it up. You think we'd have an easier schedule. But no, I mean, I think Will Levis has a real shot to be a good quarterback in this league. Is it all going to happen this year? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I love what they're doing in Tennessee. I love that Rand Carthon, the GM, was like, hey, let's go get some guys, man. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just sit on my hands like Ballard and not do anything. Like, I'm going to go out and get some guys. And he did. And a lot of people are saying, oh, you're buying players and all this stuff. Look, the team got a whole freaking new coaching staff. That's what teams do. Like, when teams get new coaching staffs, they clean house. That's what they do. You know what I mean? So we had to get new people. We had to bring people in because the people that we had weren't cutting it. And we also had people like Autry, Shire that were gonna take a lot of money. You know what I mean? So they had to go. We bring in new blood, and we'll see what happens. But then bringing in L'Jarius Sneed, freaking Calvin Ridley, all these guys that they've been bringing in, Quandre Diggs yesterday. I love that signing, considering they just brought in Jamal Adams. So them two, Jamal Adams kind of backing him up. So I love what they're doing, man. Like, are they going to be world beaters? Probably not, but I think they're going to be much improved.
Derek, talk to us about the Tennessee Titans. Did they do enough to where you will give them some respect in 2024? What's their ceiling rate in your eyes?
Ceiling? That's tough to talk about because, it really all depends upon Will Levis. And of course, I wish that the GM of the Titans would have put a little bit more effort into the offensive line rather than, the secondary, because he practically bought his entire secondary this offseason. The offensive line definitely got a couple of new players this offseason. So hopefully there's not a 32nd overall offensive line this year. So then, we have the so that way Rossi doesn't have to bring that excuse out again this year. It truly is going to all come down to Will Levis. If Will Levis plays at an average quarterback level, then they can realistically win 9 to 10 games. I mean, it is very plausible for the Titans to do that. But if Will Levis isn't quite at that level, which I don't believe that he will at the end of this year, still think he's got a few more years worth of learning to do, but I definitely think he'll improve. Then, we're going to see a little bit better for sure. But, it's going to be fun to watch the Titans because I can't wait to see them lose every other game this year. That'll be nice. But I mean, they'll be a lot more improved this year. They'll play hard. They got a lot of older talent, so they got veterans in there. But I do question with all of the new faces. I mean, there's a ton of new faces in there. How all of that is going to connect with a brand new head coach. At least from the Colts perspective, Steichen came in, but like the core was set and like everybody was pretty much there and not a lot of new people were being brought in. But this Titans team is half the team is brand spanking new. So it will be interesting to see how they look with everything going out.
And so what you got on that, dog?
Yeah, I mean, I know for the Titans, man, I mean, when you look at like BetUS, for example, I mean, they don't feel very high about the Titans, but, I think people could be sleeping on them a little bit. I mean, I think at the very least, they'll be a huge pest for all these other teams because, they have enough talent to make stuff happen, especially when it comes to, we don't know how good Will Levis actually is, and we don't know where he'll be in 2024. Of course, like with a lot of rookie quarterbacks, there are ups and downs, and especially with Will Levis last year. And unfortunately, we didn't really get to see a Will Levis with a head coach that actually cared. I mean, by the time Will Levis is actually out there playing, Mike Vrabel had sent it in, okay? He was mentally out of Tennessee by the time he was a starter there. So, and they didn't operate this offseason like a team that, wanted to lay down and lose games. I mean, they went out there and, they signed to Calvin Ridley. They still have, D-Hop. They went out there and traded for L'Jarius Sneed. So they did some stuff this offseason where it was like, wait a second, it's not like they're trading away all these different players and, trying to really gut the roster. So I could actually see that the Titans could be a potentially, decent team, somewhere in a range of, 7 or 8 wins could be very, very much possible. I don't see them necessarily getting into the playoffs, but, I could see them as, one of the first team or two out of it.
Very interesting. And right before we get to Ruben's tag, once again, the Garf is coming on in with the Garf. Excuse me. Once again, thank you so much for your generosity, man. Third super chat of the day. You are the man. Never mind that insane Titans take demands $5. 7 out of 10 team. Mayo man isn't good, and your right side of the line is a junior varsity unit. All right. So the Garf is coming on in letting you know. Ruben, thoughts on the Titans? Have they earned your respect? What do you think of them in 2024?
I mean, if we're talking about respect, they got it, but it's the respect you give, to a dude who's just walking by and has a limp. Like, you give him space, right? You like, do your thing, bro. But come on, if I call the Colts fans conspiracy theories, what the hell are Tennessee Titans fans? I mean, they think Will Levis is the next coming of Jesus. With that being said, he just lost D-Hop, right, for 6 weeks. Get well, D-Hop. His right guard just retired today. Right, so you're gonna have to put everything on Calvin Ridley. Defenses are going to know that this dude could not catch the ball last year. You're talking about a horrible offensive line. I think it was the worst offensive line in the league last year. Your only big signing or big trade was L'Jarius Sneed, and I can't wait to see what my wide receiving core, does against him. Tony Pollard, I mean, come on, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard, what is this, right? What is this? It's night and day. The thing about it is, can Mayo Boy be a quarterback? Can he get this system down? Can he handle a new head coach? Can he handle an incompetent owner in Amy Adams? She still has the Houston Texans. What?
That's mean.
It's facts. It's facts. She still
Come
has
off
my
Amy. Come off Amy, man.
all in her mouth.
Come off Amy,
She
man.
tried to embarrass us by wearing those uniforms. And what did we do with Case freaking Keenum? We walked into your crib, smacked you around. No, come on. What the hell are the Tennessee Titans this year, guys? Come on. What are we talking about? BetUS has it right. They're going to be at the very bottom. If you want to lose some money, just go ahead and give it there.
Hey, guys, we can't talk too much shit about Will Levis when he's literally hosting the show, okay? So, guys.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? It sounds like several of these hosts and panelists had their undies in a bunch, which is a fantastic segue right to one of our sponsors, Shinesty.com. So now you'll probably notice that half of our representatives at Roundtable Sports always have their undies in a bunch when it comes to their favorite NFL team. And listen, I'm sure that they're getting sick of that feeling where they're feeling a wedgie rather than a warm hug. Maybe they want to say goodbye to uncomfortable chafing and hello to the softest underwear they will ever wear. Well, folks, let me introduce you to Shinesty.com, the underwear company that is here to revolutionize the underwear game. Let's be honest, life is too short for boring undies. These are so soft, y'all. You won't even realize you're wearing them. With the moisture-wicking technology and a perfect fit that never rides up, you'll quite literally feel like your balls are floating on a cloud all day long. And look at some of these absolute designs. And get this, folks. If you use our code at checkout, you can get an additional 15% off your order, RTS15. Remember, supporting our sponsors is a way to support us over at Roundtable Sports. So stop neglecting your balls and give them the gift of Shinesty underwear. Link is in description. Shout out to Shinesty. Well, folks,
we didn't get you the model, the bald eagle ones,
dude. That's exactly the one I'm getting, bro. Hit him with that.
Hey, listen, this is the first episode back. I didn't want to scare away anybody, Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of the AFC South Roundtable. Let's go around the panel real fast and let our panelists say goodbye. Starting off with Ruben. What you got for the audience? Talk to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, it just feels so good to be back. I missed all of you. I missed my boys. And this is going to be truly something special, man. This roundtable, it's only up from here. We have great leadership, great content coming, man. I am so excited. Hey, man, tap into the 713 Houston Sportscast, man. It's up here as we try to get to our first ever AFC championship. This was great. Guys, I had so much fun. Can't wait for next week.
What you got, Dalton? Sorry, I'm just laughing at somebody in the chat that said, I thought you were kidding about taking a brief break. Go ahead, Dalton. Go ahead.
The comments are hilarious.
Yeah, man. Appreciate everyone for being here. Really fun to have this back on. By the way, guys, tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, I host a show called Club Jaguar. So if you guys want to come in here and talk some smack to me, because like I said, we're like the show. I read all super chats. Okay, so if you send a super chat saying Trevor Lawrence, I will literally read it on the show. Okay, but nevertheless, live every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern now on my own channel, UCF Jaguar, and pumped to have this in back in my every Tuesday schedule.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What do you got, Derek? Talk to us.
Yeah, man, it feels really good to be back on this thing. I mean, I've been looking forward to getting back on here with all you gentlemen for this for a while now. And man, I'm super excited for what Roundtable is going to have planned this year. And of course, it all comes down to you guys watching. So please make sure that you guys keep tuning in. We got a lot of great things in store for you this year. And I'm just super excited that football is back and around the corner. Super excited, man. Can't wait. And yeah, I'll let Rossi end it up here.
What you got, Rossi?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about this show, man. It was a lot of fun last season. Hopefully it'll be more fun for a Titans fan this season. And, expect to see a lot more of you Titans fans coming in here this season as well as we start winning some more, hopefully. But nah, man, it's been a blast. Follow us, the Titan Upload Network. I'm part of that. I'm live Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9:30. We also do multiple live shows throughout the week in the evenings. So, yeah, tune in. If you want to come talk some trash to me there, please feel free. We actually got a lot of other fans that come and watch us. So, anyways, thank you all for tuning in tonight, everybody.
Folks, make sure you do subscribe and turn on those bell notifications because all four of these gentlemen are about to record a video where they gave us their rankings of each and every single quarterback in the AFC South. So you don't want to miss that video. Subscribe, turn on the notifications. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. EST. Doses.
Sworn.